Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with Derek and Craig. I'm going to do a little show today. I just wanted to talk a little bit about coils and stuff like that, and then, Craig has some. Oh, we both actually have some hunt stories for you guys today too. Um, Coils. We talk a lot about detectors, but with coils, it can actually make your detector a different detector. It's like using a new one. If you're going from a stock coil that comes with your machine, and some of these machines now they're sending sometimes three coils, different sizes and stuff. It just changes the dynamic of your detector as far as unmasking capabilities, target identification, whether you're working a field site or a like a house site, where there's a lot more activity, a lot more items in the ground. We even go as far as on some of these detectors buying aftermarket coils. You hear several of the guys talking about when they have as an example, an AT Pro with a stock coil. They found that tornado coil from Nell Coils works really good. As far as it's a little bit bigger of a coil, but it gives it a whole new dynamic to their detector. They're able to get deeper targets, stuff like that. And these react differently when you buy an aftermarket coil for your machine. The VDI numbers and stuff on the screen may not come out perfectly, or they may jump around a lot. But what I found with the AT Pro, especially with the tornado coil, was that I'm listening. I'm not looking at that screen so much. It's able to, I think it was an 11-inch dime or something like that. It's pretty incredible for a mid-range price-wise detector. The AT Pro is pretty much probably one of the best-selling ones around. We have some newer ones coming out now that I think are going to surpass it as far as performance and stuff. But we're talking about new technologies versus old. But I actually have a site now that I've been doing over here in Central Florida. I've talked about it a little bit, and I went back out. It's one with a big tree on it that I took a photo of put it up on Facebook and stuff like that. And I got in there. I think it was Wednesday morning after the show, and I ended up finding another harmonica reed, and I found a cast iron spoon head, Craig. And I think I told you about this before. It's like a teaspoon, but it's missing the handle. But it's cast iron. A couple shotgun shells, which I really thought were coins. They were deep too, Craig. I think the one was almost 16 inches down on the ground, and it's like, God, it just sounds so good. And you got to dig them because shotgun shell brass. You got to dig. It's going to sound good. Found several pieces of wood burner parts, cast iron, and I got to thinking, this 11-inch coil is awful big in that kind of environment right off the bat. I'm having to pull a lot of it's old, junk, but I mean I got to get the bigger stuff out of the way because it's, some of these pieces. I think I found a part of a plow blade that was like 14, 15 inches long and pretty wide. When I got it out of the ground, Craig, I went back over and ended up digging two shotgun shells and some pieces of like a brass, maybe a brass or copper container. It's all crushed up pretty bad, and I can't tell what it is yet. I'm pretty sure because of the area I found it in, it's 1920s, but there's stuff that is a lot older in there. I just haven't got dates on it. It just looks older the way the corrosion is on it. But if I get that small coil in there, I think I'm going to do a lot better. It's kind of monotonous, or what I don't know, frustrating a little bit because of the ground. You're not covering the ground as fast, but sometimes speed is not everything, and you're trying to be thorough and get in there. Because actually got one hit, and I dug down and I pulled like two 20-penny spikes, the real old ones, real rusted up and everything. Pulling out some nails and pulling out this, and that's not the target. I know, I have my discrimination set up high enough, and I get down about 7-8 inches, and there it is. It was a back of a pocket watch cover, and I got it out of the way. Then I ended up digging a big bottle and several pieces of pottery and a few more nails. So it's not doing bad. The Blistol, it does real good in that kind of environment. But I think putting the smaller coil on is going to help me get in between those targets a little bit better. Maybe lock on a little bit better because I get some of these, Craig. You can go over and the recovery delay is really fast on the detector, but I'm getting like, one sweep I'll get 6 targets. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And the detector can't, when it's, I've always said this too, and I see people do it on videos where they have a good target in the ground, but you also have iron, you might have brass and aluminum and everything, it's not going to make those VDI numbers any more stable. They're going to be pretty jumpy. The sound is going to be, you know, kind of blended in, even with a single tone machine, and you're listening for the high tweaks. Now, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it fools you, but you got to dig the stuff, especially when you're on a site that nobody's hunted before. And this site, I don't think anybody, the size of the copper and the brass, and even the tin cans. I found a few soda cans from the 70s because whatever, you had the actual pull tab tops on them. And they were like 6 inches down, Craig. And any detector it's gonna pick those up, and they're just not dug out of the way. They're not moved. So it's got potential, but I think I got to go in there with a smaller coil just to be able to kind of be not cherry pick, but I need to find some coins or buttons, or I'm trying to date this site, and I found the old stirrup. I still think it's still soaking in molasses and water like you did, Craig. I'll check it tomorrow because I found that I put it in on, I think on Tuesday, didn't I? Monday or Tuesday, I think I told you. And it was really, really, like it's cast iron stirrup, but it's really rusted up. So I'm hoping. It seems like it's going to be okay. As far as it's kind of like what you said, Craig. It's like electrolysis, but it's a very easy on the items. And,
Yeah, it's gentle, but it also has a chelating action, which would maybe keep the rust from falling apart as much.
right. That's what I'm worried about.
Maybe preserve it a little bit better. I put it up on. I did a little video on it when I'd heard about this. I had a farm, and he had a lot of iron equipment, and a lot of it was, rusting and stuff. It was a huge farm, and he had this almost like a water trough filled with molasses and water, and he would just drop all the rusted stuff in there, and then he'd come out and kind of he'd brush a little bit with a steel brush, but it did come out just almost perfect. And I thought, that's pretty cool, so I tried it. And a bunch of people on YouTube, said it wasn't real electrolysis and this and that. And, most of them had never even heard of it. It's a bunch of haters that didn't even know anything about it. And, but I used it on some gentles, there was some stuff that was really flaking a lot, and it was able to kind of soften it out, where it looked a lot better.
Right. Well, you get that a lot with these people. You got to believe about half of what you read on or see on the internet anymore with these. Some people just hate stuff to hate stuff.
Well, some people think they're God's gift to metal detecting and they know everything, and I don't pretend to know everything, but I got a lot of experience and I like trying new things, but it's just the way it is. But,
well, I saw what it did on that trigger guard we found up on Breastplate Hill, and that thing was pretty well shot it was really just encrusted and everything, and you soaked that thing for, I think it was a total of a week, and it came out really nice, and you saved it, because most people probably would have just got rid of it. Not you guys that knew what they had, but they were like, okay, it's a rusted up piece of junk. I can't even tell what it is. It goes in a pile. And you were able to save it. I think this, and I don't know for sure, but the more I look at that stirrup and looking up on online, it's just doing the research on it. It looks pretty old, and it definitely fits the design or whatever from like 1812, somewhere around there, just after. And this may have been a saddle that they, military saddle. It could have been anything. I really don't know for sure yet, but with saddles, God, when I used to ride, I'd ride, 20, 30-year-old saddle, but if they're in good shape, you use them. And that's what we always thought. And, when you have at the rodeo company, we had, oh God, at one time we had 150, 200 horses, and then so you're bringing these things in. You got to have tack for all of them, and we had a room dedicated just I think it was 3 or 4 tiers high with saddles, and they were from way back. We had every kind of Western saddle you could think of in there. I think even silver saddles, show saddles, and I've never seen stirrups on any of those like this. This the closest to this would be if anything else, it has to be some kind of a plantation saddle, and we didn't have very many of those. The closest thing we had to that was like a French whatever English riding saddles, that type of stuff. But the stirrups themselves, that was like bling for cars, back then. You had fancy like bits for horses. Some of these horsemen had these. It looks like a monstrosity, and you can't believe they're using them. They had like rollers in them, snaffle bits. There's all these kind of different kind of bits, mule bits, and everything else. And I found one of the snaffle bits, and I thought, well, maybe it's for a bigger horse, like a mule or a wagon horse or something, because it is kind of if you put two sections together, it would be kind of wide. But I noticed even on bits that some of them looked very aggressive, but it was not to control the horse, but to use them gently to make the horse do what you want them, to teach them. And, you didn't want to get heavy-handed. You never do with a horse anyways. You start yanking on reins, you're going to come over. It's a gentle thing. And these bits were designed like power steering, I guess, like on a car, power steering. It's very gentle, easy movements. A real horseman, they know how to work these horses. I've seen some of these cowboys out here, even now, these 12 and 14, 15 foot, bull whips on horseback, steering around and cracking these whips and going all over. They're very good at what they do. And I was never that kind of a rider. I didn't grow up around it like a lot of them did, but they have a lot of different bits and other things to make the horse do what they want them to do, essentially. But these look very old, and trying to save this stuff when it gets to this point, it's electrolysis is great. I've used electrolysis a lot of times. It's awesome. But when you deal with fragile items that that can get destroyed through electrolysis, you don't want to take too much off. Like I had a Real a couple of years ago, Craig, you remember, and I used electrolysis. The only way I could get any kind of ID on this thing because it was so encrusted, and I used electrolysis, and I think I probably ruined the thing. I don't know. I never could get a date. It was just you can't get any design. You just got the size and the weight.
I think that the trouble is salt water, works on those things pretty bad.
Oh yeah, it's horrible. But yeah, it's I'm pretty sure it's a 4 Real. But weight, the weight is right and all that. But I think it was just electrolysis can be very, very hard on stuff. But on the same aspect, you can actually take some items that are, like not so desirable, like pennies, like Indian head. You want to turn it silver colored. You switch the probes on the thing, and you can actually do a electroplating kind of deal. And I haven't got into it that much, but it's kind of a fun thing to try and do. And if you can't get any other information off of something, it's an option. But the molasses seemed a lot less evasive or whatever, a lot less punishing to the item. So time will tell. I took some before and after photos, and or before
that
photos.
Work that well, you could even go to the regular electrolysis. But I left. I did like a Triscuit, one of these little triangle things with legs on them, and they put them on the stove, and they had like a cup or something to heat it on. And they date back to the colonial times and early 1800s. But I had one of those, and it had like barnacles on it, and I was able to clean it up where it looked really good. It actually had like a darker color to it.
Yeah,
it'll work on it's worth a try.
All I'm looking for is a US on the bottom of that thing. That'd be awesome. That way I know for sure it'd be awesome to find something that old. And I'm just not real. Craig and I've been in this hobby for between us 70 years it seems like, but it's probably a good 50 years anyways between us. And there's still stuff that we find that we just haven't done any research on it. We haven't ever found one before to have the need to find, to know what something is. I mean, Craig's obviously been in it, you know, at least 15 years longer than I have, and there's stuff that he doesn't know. But that's half the fun of it too. When you find something, you have to research it. Uh,
Hmm.
but with these coils, getting back to it a little bit is, and Gavin says on here he's waiting on a Nell coil sharpshooter for his Mine Lab 705. He says the standard 10.5 is heavy and not waterproof. So the Nell is lighter and waterproof, and looks forward to the lighter weight as well. And that's sometimes I did that with my White's machine, my Spectra, and I know Craig's done it with detectors in the past. It just adds to your arsenal of equipment that you have to attack a site with. Sometimes the small coils, they're really good. They're a methodical kind of thing, but they do unmask a lot better, I think. And even from the point of view from a double D coil to a concentric coil, and a lot of companies are not putting these out like they used to, because the double Ds are actually a lot more accurate than they used to be, Craig. I mean, that Equinox seems, man, the way you unmask stuff with that thing, it kind of blows my mind a little bit, because it isn't a concentric coil, it's a double D. But you're able to get right in a small area and get a good signal on stuff that, I don't know, most coils would have a hard time, seems like. And I don't know if that's the way they're making them or the design inside. They haven't really, specified.
Yeah, it's also a very light coil. I was kind of surprised at how light it was.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the new ones, like I just, like I said, I sold my Quest Pro. I want to see if I'm about to get one of these Simplexes. But even on the Quest Pro, I mean, the coil is really light. The machine is the same weight. I think it's the same weight as the Equinox or whatever other lightweight machines. But on the same aspect, and I was thinking about this, Greg, if they came out with a machine that was 4.5 pounds, but did more than what these other machines are doing, I'd still use it. If it's better, if it's more accurate, better target separation, everything, I'd still use it. You know what I mean? Weight's not going to stop me as long as the machine's good. And I saw.
I'll let you know.
Go ahead, Kurt.
I think the day of the real heavy machine is going to be over pretty soon, because you see the Quest, the Equinox, and the KS, and the other one. They got basically a cell phone screen with all the electronics in it now,
right.
And then, the handle's got the battery in it, so it doesn't have all this heavy stuff in it. You can make, I think, the end of these big huge meters with a big piece of glass in them and everything. It's kind of more like analog instead of digital.
Right.
I think those days are, people don't want those anymore.
No,
once you see swing a machine that's got the light weight, you don't want, that's a problem, especially as you get older. People, it's a repetitive injury syndrome a lot of times with your shoulder and elbow and wrist. It definitely wears on you, over the years. And
well, it's like with I had the Ballistal. If the Ballistal weighed another pound, I'd still use it, but I probably wouldn't use it as much. But the machine is damn good, so I'll deal with it. But the lightweight machines are, if you get the performance like you're getting out of the Equinox, heck, I'd use it more than I would. Even if the other machine, it'd have to be considerably better at something. And in any environment, that's why it's not bad to have more than one detector. I mean, if I'm hunting a field, heck yeah, I'm going to use the Bliss with a 15-inch coil, and I'm going to go to town. I'm going to cover ground. I'm going to be able to get deeper. I don't have as many targets, so I don't have to worry about the target separation thing so much. Or a beach even, a beach with a 15-inch coil versus a 7x9. You just cover more ground. It's, there's not as many targets. I'm able to work that coil better than I would and easier. So the weight difference is worth it. But doing all these relic hunting out in the woods and everything else like you're doing, they're actually asking, have you tried? Do you have the 6-inch coil for that machine?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, your artifact was asking you if you had tried the 6-inch coil on the Knox.
I actually been thinking about the 15 by 12. I've been watching this guy Saving America or Finding America.
Finding America.
I think he's down in Tennessee, and he's got all 3 coil. He just got the 15-inch, and but he went out with the 6. I'm hearing from some people the 6 is a little bit not as stable or something, or a little bit noisy, but the 12 by 50, the 15 by 12 seems to be pretty stable too. He was going over a park that's probably, I think he's hunted this park for 5 years, and it was not yielding much anymore. And he said, a lot of these places he's gone back to, he's been hunting for many years, and probably at least 15 years, maybe longer. But they started going back with the Equinox, and he said that unmasking is just unbelievable. And I saw he went back. He would do one run the other day with the 11-inch coil, and then he would go back over the same area with the 15-inch. And it was funny. He dug a lot of stuff with the 11, and then he came back through, and he got this signal, and it was reading like a nickel. And so he digs down, and the first thing, he opens a hole, and down about maybe 6 inches, there's a rusty pair of pliers, and then right next to the pliers is this nickel.
Really, that's crazy.
I was pretty impressed that that he said, he said it's unbelievable. Even the bigger coil is unmasked.
Yeah.
So
you can turn down the volume on that iron tutor just so that it's a little bit lower, the sound of it, and still get the high peaks of the the non-ferrous signal. That's what I like about that machine. I don't know if you've done that or not yet with it, but
yeah. Well, one thing is kind of weird is if you can get a signal right next to a piece of iron, and then when you go into pinpoint, sometimes it'll pinpoint the iron because it'll be knocking it out indiscriminate, but in iron, in all metal, the iron will come through better than the discriminate target. So a lot of times I'll pinpoint just indiscriminate. I'll narrow the signal down and then straight down on that, and a lot of times, I'll get the target out, and then I'll go back into the hole with the pinpointer, and I'll get the iron target, that's kind of a little bit off. But
that's where I think that smaller coil may shine, Craig, and especially in your yard. There is so many targets in there, and you've said it before. You're always digging a target and then having a couple of nails in there. I don't know what kind of depth they're going to get with the small coil, but man, you might, somebody needs to send one to Craig. Let him try it out for you. He'll tell you. But say Gavin's saying, the 8.5 or 8x5 would be nice for the Knox. Any news any news on the Vanquish, Craig? You just tell me something about the Vanquish, and I didn't. Or Gavin's asking that. Any news on the Vanquish over there? Do they have those out now, or no? Do you know yet?
I think they're pretty close, but we were kind of talking before the show, but I'm not impressed that much with the Vanquish after seeing the what are they calling it? The one from Marco.
Simplex.
Simplex. To me, the Vanquish looks a little cheap. And I don't know. It just doesn't. I mean, it's a fairly low price and everything, but when you compare the price of the Simplex to their top of the line Vanquish, it's cheaper, and it looks like it's a much better machine to me.
Right. That's what I was thinking too. But
we were talking about the Equinox, Quest, and there's one other machine that basically has a cell phone like.
Deus.
Well, yeah, well, it's the Deus and the Simplex and Equinox
Quest.
and the Quest. You know, they got like a cell phone like screen. You know, with the battery and the handle and stuff. So it's much lighter. I mean, I don't see them going back to, you know, having machines with battery, you know, replaceable batteries. People don't want those anymore. They, you know, it costs a lot of money. You know, you're wasting so much money on batteries.
Right.
And people want a lighter machine. They just, you know, the day of the old heavy machines is, I think, you know, pretty much over. But you know, it's getting to the point with the modern technology that you can put everything in chips now.
Right.
So you know, the old machines probably had like transistors and stuff in them, but they were a lot bigger and a lot heavier. But this is, you know, and these chips are getting faster and faster every year. They, you know, a lot of times over the years they were doubled speed on cell phones. It's kind of the same kind of technology. I think, you know, the other thing is I think these cheaper machines coming out is going to, you know, lower the price on a lot of machines because they're going to have to, there's going to be more competition, which is good.
Well, it may also force them to, I mean, everybody's going to have to get into the same kind of, the same canoe, so to speak, as far as the technology. They're going to have, you know, when they come out with a new machine, it's going to have to push the limits of what, well, at least I would think that. I mean, I don't, you know, I'm not in the engineering part of it, but I'm sure they're always looking for ways to improve a metal detector. You know, when they're bringing one out, you know, like obviously the Equinox, the Simplex, the Quest, you know, they've all done this, but it's going to get better and better. And not that the old machines are bad or nothing. It just, you know, they do stuff differently. And, you know, every machine will find you something. I mean, we don't beat up machines here, but there are some that are not worth your time to mess with, really. If you have any inkling that you're going to like the hobby, this is you know, this Simplex, and like I said, I'm going to get one to really, you know, I want to see. I told Craig, I said, I probably should just go with an Equinox, but I'm like, you know what, the Simplex just looks, if it does half of what they say, I'll be happy. It's kind of like the same way I was about the Ballisto if it does half, but I think it's gonna be pretty good. Do I think it's gonna be better than an Equinox? I don't know. I've never used one, but between Craig and I, we've done this in the past as far as settings, as far as environments, and knowing what each other is finding and what depths and everything. We can kind of come up with we're pretty good at doing that and give you an honest opinion on. But from what I've seen in the videos, it's not that far off, Craig. I mean, I like the idea that the Equinox has the multiple frequency deal where, you know, it runs different frequencies. I think of what, 4 different frequencies, 40, 25, yeah. Whatever. I love that idea, and that's what MindLab has done in the past on what the E-Track, the CTX. They can run multiple frequencies at the same time. I think that what the Explorer was like that too, wasn't it? Well, there was one of them in there, and that's a great idea, and that's really, you know. But the Simplex is running just 12 kilohertz, or kilohertz. But I've also found with the Quest that 13.5 or whatever is not too bad either. I don't really know if the frequencies on those machines really matter as much because the technology may be a little bit different. It's like the Bliss tool; it runs 8 kilohertz. But man, I can nail gold, I can nail silver. You know, it's the way that it's processed through the machine, and that's what Craig and I have come up with, where it didn't matter so much as the actual startup frequency. I think the Sorrow for years was running, what, 8.5, Craig? I'm thinking that's what it was on the Lobos or the Banditos, something like that, where frequency mattered a lot.
Most of them were around 15 kilohertz.
Oh, was it? I what else?
Yeah. There was some that were 12, and then there was a couple that were 10. I had an Eldorado that was 10. That was a deep machine for its day, with and it had a double D foil, and that was in the late 80s, I guess, when I got that machine. I didn't have a meter or anything, but man, I was taking, silver and Civil War bullets really deep with that that machine, much deeper than any of the machines I'd had in the past. But
well, I know White's had it, with the Spectra was I think 2.5, 12.5, and 22.5, and that's what it ran in the Spectra V3 on the White's machine, and you actually could see each frequency how it would read up on they had different screens, like meters and stuff like that. And you could actually use one of those frequencies or all of them or whatever. The idea being is that the higher frequencies get gold and nickel better. And I think that's why the Equinox has the 40 on there, the 20 and the 40 or whatever it is, frequencies is for that gold and stuff like that to make it come through better because it's a lower conductor. But working all four of those signals, all four of those frequencies together, Craig, it has to, it's taking it up a level, and that may be why it can unmask so easily. With that, I can't remember what technology you put a post up about it on Facebook, but it as far as what that meant or whatever that cartoon one about the and it's about the frequencies and why they run them and how it works. So MindLab has that wrapped. They've always had that wrapped up. They've always used, as far as I know, a lot of different multiple frequency machines. They had one that was like 100 frequencies, wasn't it? Back in the 90s, 80 or 2000s, early.
I don't know. I actually think that the Explorer might have been like 16 frequencies or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was crazy the amount of frequencies, but it could do all that on one swing.
Yeah, I had this noise canceling that was on the Explorer, and then you enact you push the button for the noise cancel, and it would run through all these frequencies. It's like a synthesizer, and it would. I guess it would test all the frequencies, and then it would pop. It would just stop, and I don't know what it was doing, but right between the Texas camp and the Wright House I used to hunt was a power line, a huge power line, and there was certain machines that wouldn't even work in there. But I remember there's a guy that had a low frequency Fisher machine in there, and he was actually doing pretty good. But I'd go there and I'd pull the Equinox up, point the coil toward the tower, just enact the frequency thing, and I could hunt pretty good in that area with very little noise. But there were some machines that were just total noise. They wouldn't even work in there.
They just saw something on your Digger Man on chat right now. Craig said he heard that Simplex is having coil problems on the first shipment. I don't know. I guess we got to look that up and see. I appreciate it. If you hear more about that, Digger Man, put it up or let us know where you're seeing that out. So, I mean, it may just be a coil ear issue or I don't know. I mean,
one thing I do is, and I did it with the Equinox, I waited a while to see, what was, if there's any problems.
That's true. I probably should.
That's just the way I am.
I usually am too. I'm just kind of.
I was very interested in my machine. I definitely, was thinking, I like the look of it. I like, what I was hearing, but I just, I was waiting. A lot of guys will jump right on it, and then start, bitching about it. And a lot of it was, when it first came out, some of the people just didn't have it running right.
Right, the settings,
or they weren't used to it. One thing is that, the Equinox has got a different sound than a lot of metal detectors. It doesn't got that, longer tone. I call it like it seems to be a little bit longer.
Right.
It just doesn't really bang in the middle like a lot of signals do. Like you take like an AT Pro or something, it just pings right in the middle on the target, whereas this one will kind of just have an even tone across it a lot of times, especially on something deep. But it won't like hit in the middle like some of the other detectors do. I don't think it's that big a deal. It's still going pretty darn deep.
Yeah.
I think that the main thing is with these faster processors is they're able to unmask these targets so much better. Which is big, I mean, you get into the older sites, Civil War and Colonial, they're just full of square nails.
Right. I'm actually looking on here. Oh, he said that Diggerman posted up that detectorprospector.com /forums/topics. I guess it's on there. It says coil problems with the first simplex units. I mean, we'll kind of go. It may just be one or two. I mean, you deal with that. I mean, in any kind of large production thing, they're trying to get these machines out. We'll see, and you'll know probably right when you get it. But I mean, I can't imagine it being a crazy problem, or it'd be all over the internet. Of course, these guys are going to say something about it. Hopefully, it's just something. It's just the the manufacturing part of it could be, but I'll definitely look it up.
Well, the other good thing is that the machine's going to be programmable. They'll be able to update programs to it.
Right.
Which is I just love the way the technology is jumping now. It's
I can actually
everybody,
get to it, Craig. All right. Sorry, go ahead.
The day of everything's going to change because of this faster speeds and the chips and the lighter all these different little things are adding. Everybody's going to want those, and machines that don't have that, they're not going to sell anymore.
Yeah, it says on here this Steve Hirschbach, he's the detector prospector administrator. He said that the coil issues has been found in the first UK deliveries of the simplex. Some, not all detectors, are exhibited false signals after the coil gets wet. Existing customers that experience the problem can get the coil replaced. Nocta Macro has identified the cause and is purging the bad coils from the supply line. This may result in delivery delays as situation is being addressed. As far as I know, U.S. deliveries have been made yet. I don't know if that's supposed to be haven't been made yet, as far as what he's saying. And this may delay those deliveries. So
there are some people that have them, and I've seen.
Like Dwight Collin has it. The New Age Goonies, he has one.
I was watching a guy in Texas, and I haven't seen, but he just did one test where he was running across a park that he's hunted for years, and there was like a nickel and a dime, or a nickel and a penny, about 3 inches apart, and he was able to separate them with two different signals, with 11-inch coil, which I thought was pretty impressive. That means that machine's pretty fast.
And even they said, Craig, what you just said, he says, proving once again that waiting is not a bad idea when new detectors come out. I know, but just killing me, Craig. I got to buy one. But I'm going to wait. I just keep on seeing these, and I don't get a chance to, I should have jumped on the bandwagon a little bit sooner. But, like you, I want to see what this thing would do first. But anytime you come out with it... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I remember when they came out with, this new machines coming out called the Vanquish, and everybody was all excited. I went on to this live stream, and there was probably, I don't know, maybe 20 of us on the live stream, and I asked a couple questions. It didn't seem like they knew, about doing the answers on the question, and the other thing was, the first time they put it out, they just had a 30-second video, and it's all black, and then all of a sudden you see Vanquish and letters, but no pictures of machine or anything. So I was kind of upset. I was like, come on, this is ridiculous. You come out with a new machine, and all you'd have is the name of it. And so I wrote a comment, hey, this is like clickbait, and a bunch of other people that were on that thing agreed, and so people were saying, is it a top of the line machine? Is it, middle of the line? How does it compare to the Equinox?
Right.
So while I was on the forum, I guess he'd gone into the Mine Lab's corporate website or something, and he found a chart that showed all the metal detectors, and it showed the Equinox kind of like in the range of the Xterra 705 as far as maybe price range and capabilities.
Right.
And he put that on a comment, so all of a sudden people are going, oh, okay, now got some information. But why didn't the forum release that? They it was like they were dripping information out at first,
Right.
And then it finally came out with a thing where they showed what the machine looked like, and I thought it looked like it just didn't look like a Mine Lab to me. It looked more like a kind of like a Garrett look to it, and it had kind of a plastic look to it. It didn't look, it doesn't look like the Simplex. The Simplex is a sleek machine with a really nice screen. I just didn't see that with the Vanquish. I don't know.
Well, I'm seeing on here too on this same, this Nocta Detectors. His name is he's a copper contributor or whatever. He's a member, and he put up here, hello all. Yes, we had some coil issues, and we acknowledged it publicly and sent an email to all distributors as well, copying and pasting my post from the UK users group. So this happened in the UK, and they said, as some of you know, we or may not know, we've experienced an issue with some of the coils in the UK. The problem reported by users was falsing on wet vegetation and over sensitivity to high stubble. This alarmed us and to take a look at the issue, but the failure not occurring with all the coils and being limited to a percentage of them has actually made it easier or harder for the quality department to find the underlying cause. After literally working all day and night and analyzing each coil material, they found out that the issue was due to one of the materials used in the coil from the supplier not being within the tolerance limits. A high percentage of the coils passed the test and worked fine, but as of Friday night, we stopped producing and shipping and dumped all coils. As much as this sounds upsetting and disappointing, we actually are happy to catch this at early stages and make the right moves. As the Simplex is unveiled, is an unrivaled product with its performance, price, and value. We do not want to jeopardize anything. So they're being very thorough. They're gonna, it's covered. They'll replace it. But this sounds like it's been an isolated incident, and it sounds like they found it or whatever, found the underlying problem. So we shouldn't have any problem in the U.S. as far as this goes. I don't think so.
Well, that's good that they got right on it like that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
But it's like I was saying. You want to kind of wait a little bit. I think. Some people want to. Right away they got to have it. I've already got a lot of machines, so I want to wait and see. But I'm interested in that machine a lot. I think it's, from all the new machines coming out, that one's really intrigued me because of the price and how good it looks. It's just a neat looking machine, and it's got a great looking meter on it. I've watched a lot of the UK guys testing this machine, and they're kind of shocked at how good it is. Especially for the price. I mean, I don't see anything competing with that machine in that price range at all.
Well, this was actually, anyway. It's actually I don't know how to pronounce her name, Dilek, Dilek. I think she, I think that's a woman that we saw the video from too. And it sounds like they're on this. I mean, they're not. Oh, good.
I think she's Turkish American, and I saw her in a video talking about it. She's the representative, I think, here in the U.S. But she was talking about how people were hating that it was coming from Turkey, but there is a lot of machines coming out of Turkey. I mean,
and it's
good ones.
competition is not always Well, it's a good thing, but the competition with idiots sometimes is not. You know,
Yeah.
so they'll
I
they'll
mean,
say anything.
you got to be able to have thick skin if you're a dealer. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Or selling machines. I mean, there's a percentage of haters out there. The good thing is there's not a lot compared to the good
And even
people.
these
But
guys
there's
on
some,
here are saying, it's this Prunt. He's another member. He says, what I see above is a prime example of how a company should operate. Outstanding, and thanks for being honest and upfront and not trying to hide the fact the company has turned what could have been a public relations disaster into a massive positive. No potential customers could be unhappy after reading. Exactly. I mean, they're standing behind it. It's like White's has done for years.
yeah,
I dealt with White's. They were always and have always been really good about customer service and fixing problems and usually doing it. I remember they just sent me a new coil. They always put extras in there. They always got it done really fast. I don't foresee this being a big deal. They're on it. So, if you do have issues, that's fine. But it doesn't sound like it's going to affect us over here. They caught the problem early enough. And thank you guys in the UK for finding out there was a problem or noticing there was a problem and getting them on it, because you just saved a lot of people some headaches, I think, and as far as dealing with that situation. But this stuff happens. We had it happen with the lower detecting shaft. The processor, the dowels that they were using on the bliss tool, originally had air bubbles in them, and you can't notice it. It was a molding machine that wasn't acting right, I guess. But we took care of it right away, and we've got people new detecting shafts, and it wasn't a widespread problem, but it does happen anytime you're dealing with mass-produced stuff. So I guess we'll just leave it at that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, machines are expensive. The top of the line ones, people get upset when they spend $1,000, and then all of a sudden there's not a problem with it, But I don't know. It's like I said, wait a little while, have some patience, especially if you already have a good machine, wait a few months and see what happens. I mean, I think this, once they work out everything on this machine, it's gonna, as far as the middle line detectors, this thing is gonna kill the rest of them.
It's gonna eat them up. It's gonna eat them up.
Yeah.
That's good though. It's like I said, it's a buyer's market. You guys have so many options out there, especially people getting into the hobby. You have so many options on metal detectors, used ones, new ones, whatever. Finding something in your price range. I mean, I think it's.
Well, the other thing I like is you can collapse that.
Oh yeah, it shrinks right up to the same size as any of the other ones. It's like 25 inches, 24 inches. I'll find that out too. I mean, I'm gonna see what I can find out today. I'm not gonna be able to order it today, but I want to see who has it and what they're thinking and everything else. I may message Dwight Collin. I know he has one. See what he thinks of it, because we find it with Dwight up there in Ohio and stuff. He's not gonna hold any punches. He's gonna tell me whether it's something I'm gonna like or not or whatever. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's been going out with it, testing it, taking some pretty good stuff I've seen.
Yeah.
So, he likes it pretty much so far. So, and he's a big Nocta guy anyway, I think.
Yeah, well, he wants to use what's going to find him something. I mean, he's like us. He's what's going to find me the most stuff, unmask the stuff the best, recovery, a whole 9 yards.
But they already have pretty good machines.
Oh yeah, he's using it. Isn't he using an Equinox? Or yeah.
He's using Amphibio as his main machine.
Oh, is he? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe it was, I don't know. I thought I saw one of them with it. Anyways, they like us, they test machines. They like machines. Craig and I are always looking for a bigger, better, whatever, and unfortunately, a lot of times, yeah, they're not any better. Maybe one thing or two things is better. It's nice to see, like, the Equinox is a breath of fresh air. The Simplex looks like it's going to be a breath of fresh air, too, because it actually is better than what they were putting out before. Whatever, it's nice to see that. But Greg, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. We almost ran an hour. I want to get these guys off to work or out detecting. I got to run around like crazy today, so probably wrap it up. I do, Craig. I want to talk about what we were talking about before the show on Saturday night, and I do have a friend of ours that's going to maybe call in. This is a guy. I'm not going to give his whole name out, but I'm just going to say Brent. And I don't know if you remember Brent or not, Craig, but
Mm-hmm.
he's had some recent adventures. The guy has quite a bit of experience, and he's a good friend of ours. He may call in. He doesn't post up to Facebook and stuff like that. Like, he hates all that stuff, which I get, and a lot of people are getting aggravated with it. But he does go to a lot of cool places, and he texts all around the U.S. and over. He's made trips over into the U.K. and so if he can get the time to call in on Saturday night, he will. So I'm probably not going to post it up as that. It's just going to be a regular Saturday night show at 8 p.m. So check it out if you can. Be sure to like and follow the show, and support the other shows too on Spreaker.com. And we're all over the place now. I guess we're Spotify and iHeartRadio and all that. Just show your support to all the shows and everything. I'm sure they appreciate it, and we do too. So get out there, keep digging, and God bless.